1. Note: if you have not heard the neckbeard buying a coffee from the last video, you should listen to that before this. Hey guys, so as promised, here is how today's shift went down. So I hate to disappoint any of you, but I will say that today was not as eventful as yesterday. First, the people. Neckbeard, manager, and me. So it started as any other day. I had an afternoon shift today, so the crowds would be light. As I was putting on my hairnet, my co-worker came in, asked me when I was working until. I responded 7. I am writing this about half an hour after my shift. Anyways, my co-worker and I have our usual banter, and then she tells me something that made me stop. Some guy had been seen outside the shop trying to look in. He had been doing so for around an hour. I don't think much of it at the time. We have a lot of people waiting on friends and family here. And that is just what it was. I bet you thought it was Neckbeard. Moving on to my shift, it was uneventful for 3 hours. When I see coming through the door a short pudgy man, I knew it was Neckbeard. He had the same shirt and pants on today, but no fedora. Instead, he wore a long beige trench coat. He comes to my till and surprisingly acts like a normal human being. Probably because it was only males in the front of the shop, he also still had the famous neckbeardy way of speaking. He places his order, but then he said something that concerned me. See, on hot summer's days like this, the frozen coffee-flavored beverage machines can break. He had ordered a large. When I told him about the machine, he immediately started to rant. Here is the part I remember.
Any reputable business such as yours should always have your products in stock. I am a paying customer, and therefore I deserve to be treated as such. May I see your manager?
I call manager over, and he tells Neckbeard the same thing. Neckbeard then begrudgingly ordered a large iced coffee, and put a bunch of flavoring in it. This of course brings up the price. The iced coffee has become more expensive than the frozen coffee-flavored beverage. He hands me change, but there is not enough. He asks for it back, and says he will go get more in his car. I know he is gonna drive away, so I give him the change back. Luckily, I had not made the drink. He went to his car, and sure enough, he sped off. I think the shame of going down a size in iced coffee was just too great for him to bear. I was relieved that there were no females out front, as I'm sure he would have tried the same thing to the day prior. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Cheers, Thick. 3. This all happened in my sophomore year of high school. I was 15, I'm 23 now for context. The year beforehand, I'd been known as kind of the cringy fat girl with a terrible Spanish accent, who tried too hard to make friends. So I had been bullied a lot at school and a lot of friends were losers. Don't worry, this all comes into context later on. During the summer, I began eating better. I'd made friends with this boy who played football and helped me work out with him. And I lost nearly 80 pounds within the summer. So I came back looking cute. In high school at this time, you're required to take gym every year. I'm not sure if you're still required to do that now. Last year, the gym had been so humiliating for me that I just skipped it as much as I could without failing. Now I was okay with at least showing up. Now with this context, I swear I'm not just tooting my own horn with that background. I can introduce our characters. There's me. I guess I'll refer to myself as Fly. I'm super short. Like less than 5 feet short, and now I'm very petite with jet black hair and black framed glasses. The 2 beards in question were my friends last year, and had known me last year. I'll refer to them as Dragonbeard, he's your typical beard, wore a long black trench coat at times, though he couldn't button it up over his 300+ pound body, even in the summers. Fedora, black shades indoors. And he had a cane with a dragon on top of it. I thought it was really cool, and he really did have a limp. Even though he was my age, he could have passed for 30 with a fat chin beard and patchy beard growing and long dark brown hair. Our second beard was the skinny version of a beardy. Let's refer to him as Edgebeard. He was as pale as the gym white walls. I wouldn't be surprised if he lifted up his shirt and all his organs were visible to the world. He was also as thin as a rail, his body was all edgy angles, much like his personality. His wardrobe consisted mostly of ripped jeans, black shirts, and a fedora. Note: I can't comment much on their odor, I don't really have much of a sense of smell. Like something has to be super fucking strong that I'd have to taste it on my taste bud to kind of smell, you know? So their smell wasn't enough to make an impression on me. So this is the first day of school and I'm kinda nervous. I keep my head low and head to gym locker rooms. I could hear murmuring going on around me. And from the little bits and pieces I got from people was that they were trying to figure out who I was. I have terrible anxiety now. Back then I didn't have words like anxiety or depression. So I was just beginning to sweat too hard and fumbling with my clothes, half naked, trying not to fall over and make a fool out of myself before running out of there. The first person I ran into was Dragonbeard. He was leaning against a wall, trench coat over his gym clothes with his cane, breathing hard as he looked at me a little too hard. We'd eaten lunch last year together in large groups, and people played Pokemon and anime together. I gave him a shy wave. He seemed to narrow his eyes at me over sunglasses. "Fly?" I nodded slowly, feeling myself heat up as I tried to move into the gym. People were clustering around us, and it was getting hard to breathe. But he seemed to want to talk in the middle of the hall. Being big and tall, it was easy for him. "Well, aren't you just a cute little lolicon now?" Of course I knew what a lolicon was, though being referred to as one was a new type of attention, and from someone I saw as a friend, it was making me hella uncomfortable. I rolled my eyes, thinking he was joking, because we joked a lot in the group, and said, whatever, dramatically flipping my hair and jumping off into the gym for warm-ups. As I line up for warm-ups, I stand just beside Edgebeard. He does look naked without his fedora and jeans, but he does recognize me as he stands beside, which makes me much more comfortable around him.
"Good morning, ma'am."
We're in the South, and this was his version of milady.
"I see you've been through a transformation."
I nodded. I guess. Dragonbeard said I looked like a lolicon. I pretended to laugh like I found it funny. He shook his head.
"He has such a foul mouth. He needs to learn to control it around women."
I just laughed and we continued stretching, doing lunges down the gym floor and other things. I actually kinda liked working out now. So I was just in my own zone for a little bit, until I felt eyes on me. The thing about being a former fat girl was that you were always very aware of your own body, the way it moved because you always thought other people were aware of it. I looked up from my 10th push-up and Dragonbeard was standing near the bleachers hidden away, but I could see his eyes glaze down my shirt. I turned red, sitting on my knees and crossing my hands over my chest. My gym teacher encouraged me to keep going since I was doing so well. I did more push-ups, but covered my chest by biting my shirt up with my teeth. Gotta learn to be resourceful when you're a stupid girl. After the warm-up, you were pretty much left alone to do whatever you wanted. Me and Edgebeard walked over to Dragonbeard, who looked way too innocent. I didn't say anything about catching him checking me out. In my head, I thought I was mistaken or that he was just looking in my direction. Yes, at the time, 15-year-old me was really that fucking stupid. I was kinda neglected by my family, weird and very desperate for friends. If the ones I had wanted to ogle my chest, then I would just pretend that I didn't notice. I never said you would like me as a narrator.
"Fly said you called her a lolly. I think that's very disrespectful. You should apologize,"
Edgebeard said. My eyes go wide. I told him it was funny. It's fine, it was just a joke, I said, desperate for the subject to be dropped. Dragonbeard just laughs. "Don't worry, Fly. Edgebeard just doesn't have our sense of humor." And then his very warm and moist hand touched the top of my shoulders, and even through my t-shirt I could feel his sweat seep through it, leaving an imprint, making my stomach turn. I don't like being touched. It was kind of a joke in our group because our group was all touchy-feely, sitting in each other's laps, making sexual jokes and such. But I really hate being touched. I'll kick you before I let you touch me. It was a known fact in our group. Just because I looked different didn't mean that it changed. And I was almost going to kick this guy as an automatic response, but Edgebeard grabbed my clenched fist and pulled me away. I sat down on the bleachers, seeing red but not speaking.
"You better be glad I stopped Fly, Dragonbeard. You know small girls rage the hardest."
"You should have let her hit me. I might have liked it."
4. I never knew I was going to be the target of one of these stories. The characters are me, age 17 female, the beard in shining armor, Shadow, close to his real GT, and his friend who is pretty chill, Avery, not his real name. I was in a Grand Theft Auto session, driving around, when all of a sudden an Oppressor Mark II came out and killed me. I TP'd to my facility to escape him, and traveled to my hangar to get out a B-11 strike force. Once I killed him, he sends me an invite to a party. I told him, "What the hell are you doing killing random people for no reason?" He simply replied, "Oh, I never really knew I killed a girl. My sincere apology." It's fine, just don't kill people for no apparent reason. Avery asked if I wanted to join his organization to earn some money. I accepted this and we do a few jobs. Every time we do a job, he always says,
"Ride with me," or "I'll protect you with my life."
I hear Avery quietly laughing at Shadow. By the end of the day, I added both of them on Instagram and told them I'll be on at 5 p.m. I went to sleep, and in the middle of the night I woke up to a flooding of Instagram messages. I didn't bother to see who it was, I just put my phone on silent and head back to Dreamland. When I woke up, I was greeted with 30+ messages saying "hey" multiple times to "you look beautiful." I said thanks, but please don't text me while I'm asleep. Never got a reply. 5 p.m. I log on to my Xbox, and as soon as I got on, he invites me to a party. "What's up, gorgeous?" Shadow said with a flirty sound to his voice. I replied like a normal person would say, with an, okay? Avery wasn't in yet, so Shadow and I started some heist setups. He still does the protect the girl thing, but it really never bothered me. As Avery joined the party, I had a sigh of relief with a "thank fucking God" silently under my breath. We continued playing through the heist until I got tired. I said my goodbyes to both of them. Shadow asked if I had a boyfriend, and that if I liked him. I told him no, that I'm not looking for a relationship right now. As soon as I finished my sentence, I heard a sigh and a squeak of a chair. I got off Xbox and checked through my Instagram and checked what Avery and Shadow looks like. Avery looked like a decent man that games for the fun of it. When I saw Shadow's profile, it was a whole bunch of selfies with a profile pic of a wolf howling at the moon, and a bio saying, "Watch out ladies, there's a good guy in town." I cringed to the fact that I am friends with this guy. Now I know he never did horrible things like start ranting about how girls never date nice guys, yet, but he will do it in the next story I will post. Me, Avery, and Shadow are still friends, but I'm still getting messages from Shadow for a date. I'll be sure to update you guys on this rare neckbeard. 5. Hello again, fellow anthropologists. It has been quite a time since my last letter. Mostly due to my shifting from the tribe of Odorificus neckbeardica to a larger communion known as Universitas neckbeardica. Despite the difference in location, many of the traditional sociological traits are demonstrated in this communion. Emboldened by my prior interactions, I approached the perceived leader, a portly man wearing garments stained with past meals, demonstrating his abilities as a provider, sitting amongst several of his peers. They wore the traditional sacred garments of their tribalistic religion, in the form of stained black shirts, featuring their chosen deities or waifus. With a few choice words and boasts about beating a foe known as Dark Souls, I was quickly adopted into the tribe. It was during the next week with the commune in which I discovered the radical differences between the tribes. It can be summarized by a more in-depth, the detailing and courtship attempts of the individual known as Neckbeard. The differences of Neckbeard can only be surmised to the environmental changes. This is due to Neckbeard having been primarily a standard specimen until his relocation to the commune. The changes which occurred over the course of a winter season, starting with a Halloween celebration, where Neckbeard dressed up as the Tim Burton rendition of Alice in Wonderland. This resulted in a large amount of positive attention from a neighboring tribe of Legbeards, the extent of which was not observed. The effects, however, were that Neckbeard began wearing more Lolita-styled outfits. While this may have been viewed as a potential awakening, except for the caveat of NECKBEARD's self-description to the NECKBEARD tribe.
I identify as pansexual, but I'm not interested in men.
Which reveals the use of the attire as a clever form of camouflage. Every other aspect of NECKBEARD was a standard of his type. He rarely bathed in order to maximize his pheromones, never washed his hair in order to keep the natural oils in it, and anointed his body with Cheeto and Dorito powders. So as a method of integrating himself amongst potential female mates, he snuck in, akin to the elephant seals attempting to sneak time with females. It began well enough for NECKBEARD, as he quickly became socially accepted. Many of his grooming habits began to reflect his new company. Although this never expanded to washing his body or clothes, it did include adopting the Warpaint-esque makeup stylings of the NECKBEARDs, as well as tying the greased hair into pigtails. One would have hoped that such drastic changes would have paid off, but the NECKBEARD tribe was no stranger to the ways of social subterfuge. Within a few weeks of clumsy interactions, NECKBEARD made attempts on some of the slimier members of the NECKBEARD tribe. His victim, desired mate, was a vibrant-haired NECKBEARD, who had made many decries about the patriarchal system of the NECKBEARD commune. Their conversation began with them sharing discontentment about the system, and NECKBEARD attempted to communicate how he wasn't like those other guys, due to him wearing a dress. By this point, the Lolita-style dress had begun to show massive wear due to lack of care and being worn to every social function. NECKBEARD immediately followed up his comments by asking if she wanted to go get drinks with him at some point. His potential paramour shook her head and politely let him know that she didn't date men. This is where the cunning ploy attempted to pay off. NECKBEARD gestured to his dress.
I mean, I'm basically the best of both worlds in this.
NECKBEARD gestured to his dress. The NECKBEARD tried to laugh it off, thinking it was a very poor joke, when he doubled down on it.
This way you can date someone not like other men and not have to make do with a fake penis.
Not realizing the flaws in his social script was likely due to his social ineptitude, engineering student, and the lack of an anime dating sim which fits his specific scenario. NECKBEARD began attempting to extricate herself from this failed courtship display, and was pursued by NECKBEARD, hoping his persistence would win her over. However, he did not count on her physical prowess. With a quick motion, she slapped NECKBEARD so hard he went down to the ground. The symbol of his rejection emblazoned on his face as a symbol of his ostracism from the NECKBEARD tribe. This left NECKBEARD in a state of social limbo, as he was unable to reintegrate with the NECKBEARD commune after he had adopted the trappings and isms of the NECKBEARD tribe. But he was unable to form connections with other social groups. His story didn't progress as far as I had witnessed. For all I know, he remains in this limbo to this day. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to NECKBEARDS in the Wild, number 12. I was a very pleasant surprise when I was sourcing stories for the videos this weekend, coming across another anthropological neckbeard story, and the author was very kind in allowing me to use it. Also, in addition, that wraps up the story of Drac, unless he makes an unexpected, and let's be honest, wholly unwanted return. I don't think there'll be any more Drac adventures, which is probably a very good thing. That poor girl he knocked up. Anyway, on that rather cheery note, I'm going to head off for now, and hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.